When we, when the Night of the Doctor came out, when it was released, Night of the Doctor, which was in November,
Yeah.
and of course the 50th anniversary thing happened in the November. Chicago TARDIS was the first show that we did afterwards,
Okay.
like November, whatever, end of November, early December. So yeah, and it's the same time every year. So Chicago is always, that's when we'll be there. Is that where she lives?
Yeah, she lives in Michigan somewhere.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
Alina, if we're going to meet, which would be lovely, it won't be until I'd say December, early December, Chicago TARDIS. But have a look on the website anyway, and you find out when it is. But we'll be there.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, she loves your work, and she's been telling me, she's like, Sam, you need to watch this. I mean, you need to listen to this. This guy is really good, and he is a very sweet person. And I'm like, okay, I will. But I told him, I told her, I said, I'm not going to do this until after the convention because I have really bad social anxiety, and if I become too enamored in his acting, I'm going to not be able to talk worth crap. So
We're people as well.
yeah, well, of course.
We're not just actors, we're people as well.
Well, of course, but
Real people.
yeah, and it's partly that, and just I can't talk to people normally at all.
Yeah, I'm saying, but you know what? You'd be amazed how many actors are really shy people. You know that, but I suppose and performers, I know singers who are the same, and it's difficult to credit because you see them. You know, well, hang on, you just got up and sang in front of 2,000 people, or I've got actor friends who who doing 8 shows a week, but in a social situation, they clam up, they can't speak. Actors are like everybody else, performers are like everybody else. You know, if you do, I suppose the difference is that if you do that thing that you've rehearsed, you spend 6 weeks rehearsing something, then get into the costume, then you're going out on stage, and all you're doing is you're doing that thing that you rehearsed. That's a different thing, but I'm like everybody else. If someone said to me, okay, you've got to speak at a wedding, I couldn't do it. I'm like, anything but it.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Don't make me do it.
Yeah.
So it's possible to be, almost crucially shy, but also able to get over it and get out on stage and work. It's a kind of paradox, but I see it every day.
Yeah.
Shyness is nice, though.
Yeah.
Who said that? That's from a song. Morrissey. Shyness is nice, but shyness can stop you from doing all the things in life you'd like to.
Yeah.
There you go.
So other than that, there's a lot of questions I also wanted to ask too. But firstly, I didn't feel, I would feel weird putting you on the spot, but I had wondered just how you got into acting, and if you have any advice for people who are trying to get into screenwriting.
Screenwriting?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a writer. Mind you, I was married to one, and also in the family there's a couple of writers in the family. I see what it is that writers go through, which I think is one of the reasons why, even though I might scribble ideas down sometimes and amateurishly, I would never say, oh yeah, I'm a writer, because I see what professionals do. I don't know that I could offer you professional advice except to say there's no shortcut to it. I think if, like my sister-in-law, for example, at the moment she's writing a Broadway musical, she's about to open. She writes those upstairs, downstairs things on the TV called The Midwife. She writes, that's her thing, Heidi Thomas. And I see what she goes through. I see that I see the pressures through being a writer, and I see as well the way that for years she just concentrated on it, trained herself to do it. But it's the same for acting. If somebody said to me, or asked me, how, do you have any advice for getting into acting? It's the same. Train, if you can, train to do it. Train to do it in such a way that, if you're going to be an actor, try and get some training. Okay. Even if it's only because that way you won't take any of it personally. I mean, the success or the failure or whatever it is, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Well, you standing over us, you're going to kick us out.